Hello and welcome to Spardha Lines, your one-stop destination for the civil services preparation, UPSC, KPSC and other relevant examinations. Today we have picked up a couple of important articles from the Hindu which are very significant from your UPSC and KPSC examination point of view. Let's get started and look into the first article. The first article here is important from your GS paper 2, International Relations, and it is also important from your GS paper 3, which happens to be Science and Technology. What is this article speaking about? The article here is speaking about white phosphorus. White phosphorus happens to be a chemical, and this chemical can be used as an agent in the war, and when it is used in the war, it is against some of the fundamental principles established under the international agreement. Why are we discussing about it? That is because Human Rights Watch accused Israel of using white phosphorus ammunitions in Gaza, and such a condition is where it is violating some of the international conventions. So the white phosphorus has been used by the Israeli Defense Forces against people in Gaza. Since they have made use of it, it is against the convention, says this article. Now the important question that we have to understand is, what is this white phosphorus? White phosphorus, as we speak about, it is also called as yellow phosphorus, is a white to yellow waxy solid with a garlic-like odor. It ignites spontaneously in air at temperatures above 30 degrees and continues to burn until it is fully oxidized or until deprived of oxygen. Burning phosphorus produces white, dense, irritating smoke containing mixed phosphorus oxides. So the first point that we have to understand is, why was this white phosphorus used? When it comes to white phosphorus, it has significant applications, one on the military front, the other on the industrial front. What are the uses of the white phosphorus when it comes to the military front? White phosphorus is used for military purposes in grenades and artillery shells to produce illumination, to generate a smoke screen, and is used as an incendiary. What is this smoke screen? Let's say, for example, there is a country which is making use of the white phosphorus. So this white phosphorus is immediately launched in a particular locality. So the minute white phosphorus is launched, other section of the people would not be able to see what is happening behind the white screen. That is because it creates a lot of smoke in that particular area, which prevents the vision of the people. Let's say, for example, there is white, let's say for example, we have the white phosphorus that is located in this particular area. So it is launched. So as a result, huge amount of smoke is released in that particular area. Let's see, if I want to see what is happening 10 feet or 10 meters in and around from this particular smoke area, I would not be able to see it. So it creates what is called as the smoke screen. So there is a lot of smoke that it creates, and as a result, I as a person and any other individual will not be able to see what is happening behind it. So in order to make sure that you do it, what we require is stoppage of the usage of the white phosphorus, and it is also used as an incendiary. What is this incendiary? Let's understand the meaning of it. For the purposes of the 1980 Protocol on Incendiary Weapons, Protocol 3 to the 1980 Convention on the Use of Certain Conventional Weapons, Article 1 defined incendiary weapon as any weapon or munition which is primarily designed to set fire to objects or to cause burn injury to person through the action of flame, heat or combination thereof, produced by a chemical reaction of a substance delivered on the target. So basically, when we speak about this incendiary value, it is that particular chemical which is used to create heat, or it is used to create fire, and that is the importance of the white phosphorus. So white phosphorus basically has two importance when it comes to the military applications. One, it is used to generate a smoke screen, and at the same time it has incendiary value. Incendiary value is basically that particular chemical which is used to create fire in that area and also heat in that locality. Its major industrial uses are in the production of phosphoric acid, phosphates and other compounds, and these phosphates are used to manufacture a range of products including fertilizers and detergents. Phosphorus has been used as a rodenticide and in fireworks as well. And under the globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals, The internationally agreed upon system to standardize chemical hazard classification and communication. These white phosphorus falls under pyrophoric solids category 1, which includes the chemicals that catch fire simultaneously when exposed to air. It is among the most unstable of the pyrophoric substances. These are some of the important facts when it comes to the white phosphorus. So what is the context to it? That Israel as a country has used white phosphorus, and as a result it is causing human right violations. When we speak about human right violations, what are the human right violations that we are speaking of? Whenever white phosphorus is used, it will have a significant damage on the human health. What is the significant damage? White phosphorus causes severe burns on the body. If not completely removed from the wound, white phosphorus can reignite upon the contact with the air. So if it is not completely removed from that environment, even if there is a minute presence of it, it can reignite. So if it falls on the skin or there is presence of the phosphorus on the skin, it can catch fire once again as long as the presence of the white phosphorus is present on the skin, because it is able to adapt with the oxygen in and around it. The burning can't be stopped once it begins, and it can cause lifelong pain and significant damage to the body. And when it comes to the eyes, it can cause blurred vision, irritation in the eyelids, corneal injury, eye perforation and visual disturbances. And as we inhale the air, we will have significant damage on the respiratory system, which include hoarseness, burning in the throat, respiratory tract damage, suffocation, build-up on the lungs, and this also acts as an irritant on the skin, can potentially lead to internal burns or tissue damage. Other effects include kidney failure, liver failure, heart failure as well. In fact, when people inhale it, this can also lead to coma when the amount of inhalation is in excess. That is the significant damage that it will have on the human health. Is it being used first time by the Israel on Gaza? No. There have been examples in the past as well. Irish nationalists in the late 19th century first used white phosphorus munitions in a formulation that became what is called as the Fenian fire. Fenian was an umbrella term for the Irish nationalists. World War I saw extensive use of the chemical by the British and the Commonwealth forces in phosphorus grenades, bombs, shells and rockets. These munitions have since been used in conflicts around the world, from Normandy invasion in World War II to the US invasion in 2004 and the long-drawn Nagorno-Karabakh conflict that is being seen in Azerbaijan. Most recently, Russia was also accused of using white phosphorus bombs during the invasion of Ukraine last year. These are the other examples where the white phosphorus has been used. What has been the significant damage on the environment? Whenever we use the white phosphorus, it will also have significant damage on the environment as well. Whenever white phosphorus is ignited by contact with air and it continues to burn unless deprived of oxygen or phosphorus is consumed, so it will have significant damage on the water as well as the soil. What are the effects on the soil? When contaminated, this will lead to water pollution, can be toxic to the aquatic organisms, can flow into the water basins as well, can lead to further contamination of air and soil. And what are the effects on the vegetation? It can cause damage to the plants upon contact and may kill them in short term, and can contribute to over fertilization and promote growth of plants, weeds, algae in long term. It can also cause overabundance of seaside vegetation, impacting aquatic life as well as the ecosystem. And what is its value when it comes to the international convention? Remember, we have what is called as the Chemical Weapons Convention. Is India signatory to Chemical Weapons Convention? Yes. This can be very important from your preliminary examination point of view. So India is part of the Chemical Weapons Convention. It is also part of the Biological Weapons Convention as well. These are very, very important from the preliminary examination point of view. This white phosphorus is not recognized as a chemical in the Chemical Weapons Convention. So white phosphorus is not a chemical weapon under the Chemical Weapons Convention, as it acts as an incidentiary agent and not through its chemical action on the life processes. However, this is recognized under Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons in specific instance. So the intention of using the white phosphorus is what will decide whether it is barred under this convention on certain conventional weapons. So in this convention on certain conventional weapons, it is recognized. However, to establish an illegal use, an investigation into the intent behind the use of white phosphorus needs to be undertaken. So this happens to be the environmental consequences. So this article primarily goes on to say that Israel, which has been currently being using this white phosphorus, should not be used as it leads to large scale human right violations, impact on the human health and also environmental consequences. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says women, marriage and labor market participation. We have discussed about this article in our last couple of daily current affairs discussion. This year Nobel Prize for Economics was given to a woman who happened to come out with a policy paper which spoke about gender parity and gender wages as well. So this article primarily speaks about the labor market participation of the women, how it declines over a period of time, what are the likely repercussions because of it, and what happens once a woman gets married and the number again starts dropping when it comes to the women's participation in the labor market. Let us try and understand some of the important facts given under this article. This article here primarily gives us insights about gender disparities in the Indian market. Globally, the level of female labor force participation remains relatively low. Why? That is because the World Bank estimates 2022 show that the worldwide labor market participation for women was 47.3% in 2022. Persistent decline in the labor force participation rate is persistently seen in the developing nations. The estimations indicate that female labor force participation in India between 1990 and 2022 has decreased from 28 to 24%. This fall has impeded their growth, hindered their ability to achieve their maximum capabilities. So looking by the statistics world over, in the developing countries as well as in India, the labor force participation of the women has been declining, dwindling, its numbers have been decreasing, says this article. So these numbers can become an act as a fodder for your mains answer writing. What happens after the marriage? After the marriage as well, the number starts increasing. Why? That is, women will have their own sense of responsibility. Once the woman gets married, there are a couple of issues that immediately arises. She might be working in a specific area. Let's say, for example, she is working in one of the regions called as region A. Let's say, for example, she is in Delhi, or she is placed in Mumbai, or she is placed in Bengaluru. After she gets married, she goes to her husband's place. In most cases, it is the husband side which will be taking the women as well. So the minute she has to live from one place to another, she may not be able to find opportunities in another place. So the first major reason is, it is the woman after marriage who goes to her husband's place, and as a result, she may not be able to find alternatives. Since she is not able to find alternatives, that is what is leading to the women inequality, which means to say that she is not able to find the jobs. Second happens to be the family responsibilities. The minute a woman is married, she has to take care of the family. She has to take care of the family of her husband as well. In most of the cases, she becomes the bread. In most of the cases, she is the one who's cooking for the family. She becomes the domestic help as well. In most cases, she happens to be the caregiver for the senior citizens in the family. That happens to be the second major issue. So she is not allowed to work primarily because she has to take care of the family responsibilities. And after marriage, she may also become pregnant as well, and at the time of pregnancy, she will again not be allowed to get married. She will not be allowed to take the responsibilities outside the house because she has to take care of herself as well as the fetus and the baby. That happens to be the third responsibility. So these are the issues that have been persisting for the women. Added to it, there are some economically advantageous families as well. These economically advantageous families who are wealthy by nature may not allow the women to work primarily because they feel that women need not work. It is against the social order. It is against their family values as well. So the family values take precedence over the economic prosperity of the women. One such question that is being asked is, we already have enough in our family. We have all the ways and means for a healthy, sustainable living. Why allow the women to go work? The economic prosperity, the independence of the women is not taken into picture. Her wishes are not taken into picture. The only focus right now is we already have enough. She has everything at her disposal. Why allow her to work is the question that is being asked by the well-settled, wealthy families. Added to it, when you speak about these section of the people, there are certain section of the people which actually impose patriarchal mindset, which means to say a woman should be only able to sit at home, she should only take care of her family, but she should not go outside because that is against the value system of the family. Such is the patriarchal mindset that still exists in some of the well-known rich families as well. But then if you consider the rich as well as the poor, in most of the poor households they will be allowed to work primarily because they can act as the breadwinner. They can also be an additional source of income. So when you juxtapose these two families, it is the poor section of the people which may allow, that is because they can bring in another source of economic resource. So several variables contribute to limited labor participation for the women, such as religious and caste affiliations, geographical location, wealth of their household, prevailing social norms surrounding women's employment outside the house, and clear proximity to the residence. We did discuss about it. Women of the upper strata tend to adhere to stringent social norms by predominantly assuming domestic roles. Conversely, women from the lower strata are more engaged in the labor market, primarily driven by the economic constraints. In 2022-23, there has been a notable decrease of 5% in the female labor participation rate among married women aged 25 to 49 years, with a decline from 15% in 2004-5 to 45% in 2022-23. So as a result, what we actually see is the number of women after marriage, their numbers start decreasing, says this article. Apart from that, once a person starts working, she will also have to be assisted with couple of other things. Let's say a woman has given birth to a baby, so the baby also has to be taken care of, and what she will require is a constant daycare services as well. So if this is not provided, again there will be decline of women's participation in the work role. In order to promote the women, National Credit Service for the children of the working mothers has been initiated by the central government, and at the same time we have to prioritize the needs and well-being of the women, the provision of secure transportation options, and the expansion of part-time job possibilities needs to be taken up so that she is empowered over a period of time. There is parity, there is equality, no discrimination is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article says the relationship between India, Bhutan as well as China. The focus of this article is with respect to Bhutan and China, but this will have significant impact on India is what is this article all about. Recently we had Bhutan's foreign minister Tandi Dorji who went to visit China, and as a result there were a couple of agreements that they signed. They also started diplomatic relationship as well. One thing that we have to understand is between Bhutan and China there is no diplomatic relations per se. That is, Bhutan and China do not maintain diplomatic relations. His visit is the first ever by a Bhutanese foreign minister. It had not taken, any talks had not taken place for more than 7 years since this has happened. This time this happens to be a significant impact on the Bhutan and China's relationship. So remember, we had the Bhutan foreign minister who visited China and they do not have any diplomatic relationship. So we have the foreign minister who has made a visit to China, and this is after several years. What did they speak about? They spoke about delimitation and demarcation of the boundary. So the conclusion of the boundary negotiations and the establishment of diplomatic relationships terms fundamental interests of the economy and the nation of Bhutan. China is ready for this historic opportunity, complete this important process as soon as possible, and also the legal form. This was a statement made by China. So they want to settle all issues amicably between Bhutan as well as China. When you consider the data, China has as many as 14 countries along its border areas. 12 countries have settled all the border issues. It is only Bhutan and India which are the only two countries with which border disputes still continue with China, and as a result they also want to settle this issue between Bhutan and China. Now the issue is, there is a region called as the Doklam. Yes, Bhutan is a sovereign independent country. It can go ahead and decide what its external factors are, its external relationship with another country is, but we have one of the region called as the Doklam region. This Doklam region happens to be an issue between China, Bhutan, and this ultimately means they have to sort out the differences. What if Bhutan is able to give out this Doklam to China? In that particular case, it is a red flag for India. Why? That is because if you see Doklam, what we have is called as a chicken's neck or the Siliguri corridor in this particular area. It happens to be a region which is in higher altitude. So the minute if there is a compromise that is reached between Bhutan and China and it wishes to give away this Doklam region to China, in that case China would acquire a higher altitude region and it will be able to see whatever is happening in India in the Siliguri corridor. In case there is any eventuality where there is a turmoil between India and China's relationship, this happens to be a 22-kilometer width distance. So if it is able to block it in the near future after acquiring Doklam, then the northeastern part will be cut off from the mainland India. So this is the only corridor which allows mainland India to get connected to what is called as the northeastern part. In case Doklam is given away to China, there is an understanding between Bhutan and China. If one day it is given away to China, then it will hold an advantageous position in case of a turmoil, in case of a tussle between India and China. In that case, it will have an advantage. It will be able to block the Siliguri corridor, and as a result, this connectivity between mainland and the northeastern part will ultimately get lost. That happens to be a red flag. So this article goes on to say that Bhutan as an independent sovereign country would be able to discuss and negotiate any kind of an agreement between China as well as Bhutan. But it also has to take into consideration the viewpoint of India, because this will have a major impact on India. So India considers Doklam Plateau as Bhutanese territory. China's stated position is that it is an extension of the Chimbui Valley located between Sikkim and Bhutan. In June 2020, China also claimed Sakteng Wildlife Sanctuary located in eastern Bhutan as its own. The region also shares borders with Arunachal Pradesh in India. China, away from South Doklam's ridges, overlooks the Siliguri corridor. So whenever they are discussing, in case such addition is being made, they have to take the viewpoint of India, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is important from the preliminary examination point of view. What does it speak about? It speaks about the Mahabodhi temple. We have the Mahabodhi temple complex, which can be probably asked in your preliminary examination from your GS paper 1 culture. The Mahabodhi temple complex is one of the holy sites related to the life of Lord Buddha and particularly to the attainment of enlightenment. So which are the 4 prominent holy sites? One is the Mahabodhi, which happens to be Bodh, Gaya. So that happens to be one of the prominent place or the holy sites for Buddhism. Which are the other 3 holy sites is what you have to put on the comment section. The first temple was built by Emperor Ashoka in 3rd century BC, and the present temple dates from the 5th or the 6th centuries. The present Mahabodhi temple complex at Bodh, Gaya comprises 50-meter high grand temple, the Vajrasana sacred Bodhi tree, and other 6 sacred sites of Buddhist enlightenment, surrounded by numerous ancient votive stupas, well attained and protected inner, middle and circular boundaries. And do note, it happens to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site. These are some of the important pointers from the preliminary examination point of view. So the Mahabodhi temple is in Bodh, Gaya in Bihar, and this happens to be one of the holy sites related to the life of Lord Buddha, particularly to the attainment of enlightenment, and it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is important from the preliminary examination point of view, where it speaks about Phalgu river. When we speak about Phalgu river, it is a river that flows past Gaya, Bihar, and happens to be a sacred river for both Hindus as well as the Buddhists. Lord Vishnu's temple, Vishnupad Mandir, is situated on the bank of Phalgu river and is also called as Niranjan river. This Phalgu river is formed by the confluence of 2 rivers. One, it includes Leelajan, the other happens to be Mohana. So it happens to be a confluence of 2 rivers. One is Leelajan, the other happens to be Mohana. Both these rivers, they form the confluence, and ultimately what you have is the Phalgu. At the mouth of this river is what we have called as the Panpant river. This is once again important from your preliminary examination point of view. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. We have New Zealand, which has latest to flay India on order for exclusion of 41 Indian diplomats. So the first question is, what is this Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations? It is a United Nations treaty that sets some of the common principles and terms on how countries must treat each other's diplomatic relationship. When it comes to the Vienna Convention, it speaks about diplomatic immunity, and this is covered under two conventions. One is the 1961 Convention. The other includes the Convention on the Consular Relations. Let me give an example about diplomatic immunity. What is this diplomatic immunity? Let's say, for example, there is an ambassador of United States of America or an ambassador of Saudi Arabia or any other country. They come to India, so they are in their embassy. There are two types of buildings you have to remember. One is the embassy. The embassy is usually located in the state capital, that is country's capital. So we have the embassy of United States of America, embassy of Saudi Arabia, where in Delhi. Then we also have consulates as well. Consulates are the branch offices. These are included. Let's say, for example, a consulate of United States of America is present in Chennai. So most of the embassies will be present only in the country's capital, and the branch offices like the consulate will be present in some of the key cities like Chennai, Mumbai, so on and so forth. What happens in diplomatic immunity? When a person, an ambassador or a consulate is present, let's say for example we have an ambassador or a foreign diplomat present in an embassy. These people should not be arrested. There should be no kind of taxes that will be imposed on them, and these people are also given certain kinds of immunities as well. Let me give you an example. There was a Saudi Arabian diplomat who was present in India. It was alleged that he had committed an offense of rape against the Nepali citizens in the embassy of Saudi Arabia, which was present in India. Can this person be arrested? Had it been any other person, even if it is a national of Saudi Arabia, this person would be immediately be arrested and thrown behind bars. But what is diplomatic immunity? That this person who happens to come from the embassy of Saudi Arabia cannot be arrested. Why? Because he happens to have the diplomatic immunity. Even if he's committed a murder, even if he's committed a rape, even if he's committed an illegal offense, this person cannot be arrested. He has to be immediately be sent back to the home country. That is the diplomatic immunity. So arrest cannot be made with respect to such individuals. So remember, we have two kinds of people who work. One who work in embassy, the other one who work in consulate. Let me give you another story. We have one of the Indian foreign officers called as Devyani. Devyani was actually arrested by the police officers in United States of America. Why? Because ideally, according to what I said right now, she should not be arrested. She should be flown back to the home country. But then in this particular case, she was working in the consular office. So if it is embassy, they will have absolute immunity. But when it comes to consulate, they will have qualified immunity. If it is not permitted in that particular country, they should not be doing the same. If they do it, they can still be arrested when it comes to the consular relations. That is what is called as diplomatic immunity. In diplomatic immunity, as we just discussed, there are exemptions as well. What are these exemptions? Article 9 of the convention states, receiving state may at any time and without having to explain its decision, notify the sending state that the head of the mission or any member of the diplomatic staff of the mission is persona non grata or unwelcome. What is this persona non grata? It means that there is a foreign official who is present in, let's say for example, India. So this person's name will be declared as persona non grata, which means this person should leave the country immediately to his home country. Or if there is a person who is planning to come to India or to any other country, if persona non grata is issued, that person will not be allowed to enter the country as well. That is because this person might have been interfering with the affairs of the country, or he might have been charged of espionage related charges, or he might be internally linking himself with the internal policies of the country. In all these cases, this person will not be allowed to stay back in the country, which is called as persona non grata. So the diplomatic immunity is basically given so that that person is able to work in another country without any fear so that he is able to do justice for his home country. But if he is engaged in espionage related activities or internal affairs of the foreign country, in that case he can be asked to go back to the home country as well. That is what is called as persona non grata. What is the issue between India and Canada in the present situation? The present situation is basically about Article 11, which is also being stated by the Ministry of External Affairs. In the absence of specific agreement as to the size of the mission, the receiving state may require that the size of a mission be kept within limits considered by it to be reasonable and normal, having regard to the circumstances and conditions in the receiving state and to the needs of the particular mission. Relationship between India and Canada are all not that great right now, and as a result India can also impose restrictions as well, or any other country for that matter, where basically India can say only these many people can be employed in the embassy. These are the minimum people who can be employed in the embassy. Other section of the people are not required. If for example the embassy says that they require about 100 people for work, India may say no, the minimum number of people that is required is only 20 people. Only 20 people can be posted in the embassy. So this can also be done under Article 11 of the 1961 convention. What this means is that the convention allows the receiving state, in this case India, to decide how many diplomats they want of a foreign country. Is it the first time that is happening? No. In the past, in 2017, Russia and United States had also employed Article 11 of the 1961 convention, asked for each of the diplomats to be recalled on the principle of parity following a low in their relations. Now we have New Zealand, which is asking and requesting India to rightly reconsider its position with respect to Article 11. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. If you are liking these videos, please do like, subscribe to our YouTube channel and also share it with your fellow aspirants as well. Thank you for watching. All the best.